Hello and welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're taking a closer look at a really foundational text in personal finance, Robert Kiyosaki's, well, hugely influential book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
It's one almost everyone's heard of, I think.
Absolutely. And our mission today for this deep dive is really to unpack its core principles and maybe some of its more surprising insights. We want to give you a valuable shortcut, to understanding the key takeaways without maybe reading all 200 plus pages yourself.
Right. And the source material we're drawing on gives a pretty clear roadmap through the book's essential ideas, those stories he tells, and the actionable lessons that have impacted so many people globally.
Okay, so let's set the stage a bit. Kiyosaki builds the whole foundation of Rich Dad, Poor Dad around these two powerful figures.
The two dads.
Exactly. So on one side, there's his poor dad, who was, interestingly, his biological father. Highly educated man, brilliant academic, apparently, but someone who, despite the credentials, always seemed to struggle financially. And then you have his rich dad. This was his best friend's father. Kiyosaki describes him as entrepreneurial, incredibly financially savvy, someone who built up significant wealth.
And what's really insightful there is how these two figures, they're not just story characters, are they? They're, well, wildly different mindsets really shaped Kiyosaki's whole view on building wealth.
Yeah.
They kind of present this core dilemma for you, the listener, to think about. Which path actually makes more sense if you want real financial freedom? It makes you question that conventional wisdom right away.
It's such a powerful setup, isn't it? Because it immediately bumps up against what many of us have been taught. Okay, so let's unpack this core philosophy a bit more, because it really does pivot from traditional thinking.
Definitely.
One of Kiyosaki's main arguments in the book is this idea that financial literacy, like understanding how money actually works, is way more important than just formal academic education.
Right. It's not about good grades leading to a good job necessarily.
No, it's about learning a completely different set of rules, you could say, for financial success.
And a huge part of that, the book really hammers this home, is knowing the basic difference between an asset and a liability.
Sounds simple.
It sounds almost too simple, but it's something many people seem to miss. Assets are things that put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out consistently.
Right.
And he famously challenges conventional thinking here, arguing that your home, for most people, often acts more like a liability.
Because of the costs.
Exactly. Taxes, maintenance, interest, all taking money out rather than bringing income in. That distinction alone is pretty powerful and often surprising for readers.
That's a huge one, yeah. It throws people off because we're sort of conditioned to see our house as our biggest asset. So if the house might be a liability, what's the big mindset shift Kiyosaki wants us to make?
Okay, this is key.
Yeah, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. It changes your whole perspective on work and money. The book pushes this idea of making money work for you instead of you always working for money.
Breaking that cycle.
Yeah, breaking free from that constant grind of trading your time for a paycheck just to cover the bills.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's about getting out of what he calls the rat race.
Ah, the rat race.
Yeah, most people are kind of stuck in this loop. Earn money, immediately spend it on expenses, on liabilities. Kiyosaki argues real wealth comes from building up assets that generate passive income, that frees up your time, your energy, lets you build even more wealth. It's a complete reorientation.
That's a massive mindset shift.
Okay.
But okay, how does he suggest actually putting it into practice? He breaks down Rich Dad's wisdom into 6 clear lessons, right?
Yeah.
That's the sort of actionable framework.
Exactly, the 6 lessons. That's what people often remember.
Okay, let's start with lesson 1. The rich don't work for money. Now, this isn't about being lazy.
No, not at all.
It's about that shift from trading your limited time for money, the typical employee model, to building systems or getting investments where your money works for you. He wants us to think beyond the paycheck and ask, how can this dollar earn more dollars even when I'm sleeping?
And that's really the core of the financial freedom he talks about. It's about building income streams that aren't directly tied to your daily work, like owning a rental property, maybe a business that runs without you needing to be there 24/7, or dividends from stocks, building a machine, basically.
Which flows right into lesson 2. Why teach financial literacy? This just circles back to what we were saying. Learning how to build and manage those assets is crucial.
Fair amount, yeah.
It's presented as like a vital life skill, not an optional extra, and one that most schools just don't teach.
Exactly. Kiyosaki points out schools teach us to be good employees, right? But not really how to manage money, how taxes work, how to invest properly. This lesson pushes the idea that financial education is something you have to pursue yourself continuously. It's essential if you're aiming for independence.
Okay, then lesson 3, mind your own business. This
Right.
one isn't just about, starting a fun side hustle. It's about deliberately focusing on building and maintaining your asset column,
Mhm.
creating income streams separate from your main job.
Right.
Kiyosaki says, keep your day job, sure, but start minding your own business outside of it.
Absolutely. And that's the core of it. Shifting your focus from just the income statement, your paycheck, to the balance sheet, to actively buying or building assets that generate passive income. He's urging you to start building that independent asset column, even if it's small at first. That's where the real financial strength grows over time.
Okay, moving on to lesson 4, the history of taxes and the power of corporations. This is where he gets into using legal structures strategically.
This can seem a bit technical, but it's important.
He argues that the wealthy understand the tax system works differently for businesses versus individuals. Like an employee earns, pays taxes, then pays expenses. A corporation often can pay its legitimate expenses before taxes.
That's a critical difference. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's really about leveraging the systems that exist. It's not just about earning. It's understanding how different structures let you keep more of what you earn and grow it faster. He argues that's a key difference between the rich and the middle class, playing by a different set of financial rules.
Rules most people don't even know exist.
Pretty much.
Fascinating. Okay, then lesson 5, the rich invent money. This one's all about the entrepreneurial mindset, right? Seeing opportunities others miss, actively creating value, creating income streams.
Yeah. It's about innovation, problem solving, not just fitting into existing job slots. It's shifting from being just a consumer to being a creator.
Right.
Kiyosaki suggests that financial challenges can actually be opportunities. Instead of saying, oh, I can't afford that, the question becomes, how can I afford that? Or how can I create the income needed for that? It's a proactive, solution-focused way of thinking about money.
And finally, lesson 6, work to learn, don't work for money. This isn't saying quit your job tomorrow, but it's about prioritizing skills and knowledge that will help you long term, not just chasing a slightly bigger paycheck in a job that doesn't really help you grow financially.
Exactly. It's less about specific investment tips in these lessons and more about a whole philosophy for, well, financial living. It's about mastering useful skills, sales, marketing, negotiation, things valuable in any venture, not just your 9 to 5.
So these 6 lessons together, they really hammer home those mindset shifts, the structural advantages, and just the value of constantly learning.
Yeah, they form the core framework.
Okay, so beyond these big lessons, the book also gets into some practical concepts, tools you can maybe use day to day. One of the most famous is the cash flow quadrant.
Ah, yes, the ESBI.
Right. It breaks down where people get their income. E for employee, S for self-employed, B for business owner, and I for investor. Kiyosaki's point is that while being an E or S is fine, the right side, B or I, is where true wealth building and freedom lie, because that's where your money really starts working for you.
And he spends quite a bit of time discussing the common pitfalls, the traps people fall into.
Like the rat race again.
Exactly. That cycle of earning just enough to spend, never really getting ahead. He also warns strongly against bad debt, like high-interest credit cards and just general financial mistakes that hold people back. He argues these traps are so common because of our conditioning.
Our upbringing, our education.
Yeah, we're taught to work for money, not really how to understand it, manage it, make it grow. It's a systemic issue tied to education and just cultural norms around money and spending.
That's a really powerful point. It's not just about knowing what to do, is it? It's fighting against years of conditioning. So for someone listening, what are the actionable steps? How do you start that journey? Maybe reprogram that mindset, even if you're firmly in the E or S quadrant right now.
Well, the book really encourages you to constantly boost your financial education. Not just reading, though that's part of it.
Finding mentors, real-world experience.
Exactly. Actively seek out knowledge books, seminars, maybe find someone who's already achieved what you want financially. Then, critically, shift your focus towards finding or creating passive income sources.
Income that keeps coming in without you actively working for it every day.
Right. Rental income, stock dividends, royalties from maybe a book or a course you created, a business that doesn't need you there constantly.
And it also pushes for taking calculated risks, doesn't it? Voluntarily pursuing independence instead of just staying in a maybe comfortable but financially stagnant place.
Yes. Understanding that real risk isn't just about potentially losing some money on an investment. It's also about the risk, the opportunity cost of doing nothing, of not acting.
It's really hard to overstate the book's impact, isn't it? Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I mean, it's been a massive global success. Over 32 million copies sold, translated into, what, more than 51 languages?
Incredible reach.
And it's stayed a bestseller pretty much since it came out in '97.
And what's fascinating here is that tension between its huge popularity and, well, some of the criticisms.
Right, it's not without critics.
No. While that motivational message clearly resonates with millions, some financial experts argue that parts of the advice are maybe unrealistic or overly simple, or maybe too anecdotal, based more on his personal story than universal principles.
Sure.
Yet its influence just keeps going, which really points to a deep hunger out there for the kind of financial thinking it offers, even if it's debated.
And Kiyosaki's influence isn't just the book. He's built this whole brand around financial education, that popular CASHFLOW board game.
Yeah.
Right, trying to make learning interactive.
And other ventures aimed at teaching financial literacy in an engaging way.
And despite being written back in 1997, the core ideas, those timeless takeaways, they feel incredibly relevant today, don't they?
I think so.
The importance of changing your mindset about money, actively looking for passive income, prioritizing financial education as a lifelong thing, those principles still hold up, regardless of the current economy. And Kiyosaki himself, he's still a very prominent voice.
Yeah, he's notably been advocating for alternative real assets lately, things like gold, silver, even Gitcoin. Especially with recent financial instability, he views them as hedges against traditional systems. So, okay, what does this all mean for you listening now after this deep dive?
Well,
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I think, ultimately reminds us that true wealth isn't just built by titles or salaries. It's fundamentally built by financial intelligence, having a strategic mindset, and consistently, deliberately building up that asset column.
so maybe a final thought to ponder. As you consider these ideas, how might really adopting that principle, distinguishing between working for money and making money work for you, how might that actually alter your long-term financial path? Or even just how you approach your resources day to day?
It's definitely a question worth thinking about deeply. We encourage you to explore personal finance further, reflect on the concepts we've touched on in this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.